today I have a very special guest with me, Dr. Daniela Guerrero. So we met during my time here at Mayo Clinic. Dr. Vinsard is an IMG from Ecuador, and she was able to match into one of the top residencies in the United States of America. And then she graduated from UConn and matched into GI Fellowship at Mayo Clinic. So I would let Dr. Daniela introduce herself.
Hi, Arjun. Thank you so much. I am delighted to be here in this interview with you. You're doing a wonderful job trying to guide some of our international medical graduates come here to the US and get also set on their path, their career. So congratulations to you for this wonderful job that you're doing with this. And my name is Daniela. As Arjun mentioned before, I'm from Quito, the capital of Ecuador. And I moved to the US actually back in 2015. Since then, it's been, a very gratifying journey, a lot of hard work, but also many, many wonderful experiences that I look forward to sharing with you today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you, Daniela. So my first question to you will be, coming from Ecuador, coming into residency here, we all know that you need to take USMLE steps, you need to have USC clinical experience, observerships, electives. What were kind of the roadblocks you faced?
Right. So roadblocks in terms of taking all these steps and all the process to actually be able to apply for residency, I would say that I have been extremely lucky to count with the support of my parents, the support of my husband as well. And I mean, not only financial support, but also moral and psychological support from them. So they supported us, both of us, his parents in his case and my parents in my case, to come together to the US in 2015, initially to Miami, Florida, where we were able to study for our steps together. We did take our steps after we graduated from med school. So I know many IMGs are, super smart and able to get this done even when they are in med school. But in our case, we decided to just move here, become more familiar with the language, being Spanish our main language, and just basically relearn all of medicine, the basic sciences for step 1 and clinical sciences for step 2. To take our steps. So we got into the famous Kaplan course to get this done. And luckily we were able to, get it done for USMLE step 1. I would say we probably studied for about 8 months. We got it. I remember we started on April, took the test around December. And then I was able to study for step 2 for about 4 months. 3 to 4 months and get it done. Between step 1 and step 2, I took a little break as well. I think that that's very important to mention because this is a hard task, right? You're relearning your medicine, especially when you come from a country where the main language is not English. So we took a break together. We went to the Bahamas, I remember, and then started studying for step 2 again. We took also step 2 clinical skills first, and then the clinical knowledge test. So we were able to get it done around May of 2016. And after that, we started doing our electives right away. Not many setbacks in terms of that. I would say we were lucky to count with financial support. A lot of people are not as lucky as we were. And I know a lot of people get some sort of financial support from banks in their countries, loans, etc., to be able to come. So that's another option to look into.
Absolutely. Like it's a long process and it's extremely expensive for IMGs from other countries. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Looking back, would you change anything or
anything that I did during that time? Maybe stress less. Because I mean, it was such a stressful time of my life, and I really want to emphasize that it is really taxing. I mean,
Mhm.
it's your future, right? So it's your future in a test that you take in one day. And I have to also emphasize that that score for step one is kind of like, if I'm not sure, it has changed recently to pass or fail.
So it is going to change from next year, I believe, but yeah,
All
it's
right.
still three-digit number. Yeah.
Correct. So it's gonna change. So it's gonna be, I think, way less stressful in that sense.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, we worked really hard to get a score that was high enough to be considered to match into a program that was an academic institution, just because that was our goal. I always liked academia. Same for my husband, and there are many wonderful community programs as well, but just our goal was to get to one of those places where we could have a lot of academic support as well. So I stressed a lot during that year, but I was also able to get into a lot of fitness that really helped me and my husband kind of overcome that stress and move forward with our studies as well. So I remember I would study the whole day from 7 a.m. To probably 5 p.m. And at 6 p.m. I would be in CrossFit that was right across the street from my Kaplan course, and we would just religiously get those things
Mhm.
done, and try to spend some time at the beach on the weekends and kind of have that time sort of off to relax a little bit as well, but it's hard.
Yeah, I think you were really lucky that you had someone to support you through the process. A lot of IMGs go through this alone. Sometimes, like
Absolutely.
someone from like a medical school will be the only applicant. But then again, yeah, it's kind of good to know that you did all this. Quick question for you. So, tell me about your US clinical experience. Like, did you do observerships, electives? How many months?
Of course. So yeah, after taking my step two, I actually applied for an observership. I shouldn't say after, because all of this was a little bit of
Mhm.
simultaneously looking into things, right? So while you're studying, you're trying to plan for your electives as well, for clinical rotation, so that you can get exposure to the US American medical system, and also exposure to the field of your interest, and exposure to other physicians that can ultimately write a letter for you, recommend you, etc., and become your mentors for life, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I should say that even before I came to the US, I was able to do two electives, two rotations in the US while I was in medical school. So the first one was at Boston University, in an area that is absolutely different from what I'm doing now. It was pediatric neurology.
Mhm.
Um, and that was my very first exposure to the American medical system. And that's why I decided to come here, because I really enjoyed the way things work in the US in terms of the medical system. Um, and then the second rotation was during my last year of medical school, that was in Kansas University. I did two clinical um, clerkships, one in endocrinology and one in gastroenterology. And that's when I really enjoyed the gastro world and kind of became more oriented towards gastroenterology. I would say that endocrine and gastro were my two kind of top two choices. So I tried to get exposure to those two, and I was lucky enough to get this for completely for free. I never had to pay for any of these clerkships, except for my own personal expenses and housing and things like this. But I know there are other programs that would,
Yeah.
offer this type of clerkships with some cost
Yeah.
and some fees that you have to pay. And then when I was studying for my steps, I was able to get an observership at Mayo in Jacksonville. And the way I got this, because that's kind of the main question, right? How did you
Mhm.
get all of
Yeah.
this done?
Mhm.
Um, and it was at the beginning emailing people, like, a lot, emailing doctors to see if they could give me opportunities, emailing international departments from the universities. So to go to Kansas, I probably emailed 40 plus universities to see what they had to offer. So it's a lot of just sitting down and looking into the websites for the programs, seeing where you can apply, if there's a fee that you can pay, or if they would actually kind of offer it to you as an international medical student, which is also available in some places, but you have to sit down and do your research. And then when I was studying, I contacted the international department for Mayo Clinic in Florida, and I was lucky enough to get a rotation there as an observer. So 100% as an observer for 1 month. When I was there, I met some of my mentors, and luckily I was able to come back for another rotation, but this time as a research fellow, which I did right after I applied for residency. So during my interviews for residency, I was doing research, and that was extremely useful. It was useful for me personally to learn and grow within the field, but also to share my research experience with whoever was interested in me as a candidate while I was interviewing for residency. So to anyone who has the time and availability, I would advise to, just don't just spend your time when you're interviewing basically not doing something productive for your career. Maybe you can look into this type of options to do research while you're interviewing. And I think that's very valuable.
Yeah, that would have been one of my questions. So yeah, I did the same. So I was here at Mayo Clinic during my interview season. So I kind of agree on what you said. Now, kind of shifting gears, going into residency, what would an ideal intern look like to you, or a resident? Now, from a fellow's perspective, me personally going into residency, I want to know what kind of challenges I might be facing. What were your experiences? Yeah, some tips and tricks to make life easier.
Absolutely. And we have the chance here at Mayo as a GI fellow to work with residents in the GI service, in the hospital service. And also when I was in residency as a third-year resident, you are going to have interns. As a second-year resident, you'll have interns. So yes, I have, sort of a checklist to say, this is a good intern. And I think that, first of all, being a hardworking person, it's very easy to notice whenever a person is not interested in actually kind of like putting the effort, working, learning. Teamwork is extremely important. I would say as an intern for residency, eagerness to work, number one, and number two, communication with your residents, with your seniors, with your team. There are things that you will not know how to do at the beginning. Even placing a Tylenol order can be terrifying at the beginning, right? If you don't have it, if you didn't have an exposure to the system, because in some of our countries, we're writing all of this in paper, and that's the way we place orders in our countries, right? We don't have Epic, we don't have any of this. So please ask questions. There's many people that are more than eager to teach you. And even, from a safety perspective, it's very important to just, keep communicating with your residents. So interns who communicated with me, who told me, I need help with this, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're feeling too tired, you should let your team know as well, and just ask for help, because it can be very overwhelming at the beginning when you're learning, especially.
Absolutely.
That and eagerness to work, I would say that those are the main things. Always having a positive attitude, that helps a lot as well.
Absolutely. That's like really useful advice for me, and I will try to follow that during my intern year and residency and going into fellowship, hopefully. So another thing which I wanted to mention to my viewers is Dr. Guerrero matched at UConn with her now husband in a couples match. this is not something which is very familiar in the IMG circle. Not everybody tries it, not everybody knows about it. Can you explain the process, what are the
Yeah.
challenges you faced and how you work? I mean,
Yeah, wow. So yeah, this is a very good question because I feel like many applicants are terrified of applying as a couple. And we did with my husband a lot of research about the pros and cons at that time. And we couldn't find nothing but pros in terms of applying as a couple. Why? Mainly because you will have more options, because you will be, so if I got an interview, I would, communicate that program coordinator that I was applying as a couple. And sometimes they could facilitate internal communication with that department where my husband was applying to, and they would facilitate an interview for him if they really kind of were interested in me, and vice versa. So if he got an interview, he would do the same, right? So ultimately we got we can say we got a little bit more options, although I have to disclose that he was applying for general surgery. So that is a very, very competitive one for IMGs. So probably it would have been even better if we were both applying for internal medicine. Um, so that's kind of how it worked. And after you're done with your interviews, you have also more options to do your rank list. So for example, you can just play with the ranking however you like with the options for programs. So if I wanted to rank first my number one priority, and then my husband wanted a program that it's not in the same exact city, but it's in the same state, for example, you can put it together. And at the very last part of the ranking list, you can actually pair, for example, I match here and he doesn't match and he's okay with not matching, but he will stay with me, and vice versa. So I would say that it's a positive thing overall applying as a couple. And we were lucky enough to couples match in the same program at the University of Connecticut. Now, sometimes you kind of have to give up some things as well. There were times in which he interviewed in one state and I didn't get the interview in that same state. And same with me, I interviewed in some place that I really, really liked, but he didn't have an interview nearby. So that's when it comes to the question of what's more valuable and more important to you. Is it to kind of be close to your partner, to your to your loved one? Sometimes even siblings apply together as a couple. So that's kind of ultimately the last thing, but I would say that it's always a useful thing to have more options. So I would encourage everyone who is interested in applying as a couple to just go ahead and do it.
Absolutely, that's super useful information, and I think this being so rare among IMGs, this video will like probably inspire someone to do this, what you have done.
I hope so. And if they have any questions about the process or the ranking list, anything, they can always reach out to me if they wish.
Yeah, I will leave your Twitter handle down below, and follow Dr. Daniela on Twitter. So
thank you.
So two quick questions regarding residency. So during your internal medicine residency, what kind of research were you involved in, and what kind of research opportunities should residents look out for?
Right. So that will largely vary depending on what program you will match at. There are many academic programs that will support a lot of research. And by that, I mean time-wise and also financially, for you to be able to submit posters, to travel to conferences. I was lucky enough to be in a residency program that really gave me time and financial support to get several things done during residency. So that was really wonderful. And I'm very grateful with University of Connecticut for that. The first thing I would say is you have to have the initiative to look for opportunities, because you can go wherever, whichever program, it's very unlikely that something will be set up for you and here is a project, there you go, just do it. No, you have to kind of look for those opportunities and brainstorm some ideas, talk with your colleagues, with senior residents who have done research in the same area that you're interested on, so that you can have some guidance and start building your own projects. In my case, yeah, there was nothing, there was not like a super strong research within the GI department at UConn. So I had to kind of come up with my own ideas, with my own sort of projects. And when I did that, I was able to submit to conferences. I think that's very important to start networking. So submission of posters, even case reports when you're a resident, is extremely valuable. So try to plan in advance. Planning in advance is very important, because if, for example, you're an intern and you want to submit to a specific conference, you should plan in advance to get time off for that conference, right? And to be able to travel, even if you don't know yet if your project is going to be accepted or not. But just be ahead of the game. Try to plan ahead of time, so that you can accomplish the project on the deadline, submit it, and actually go there, be present, network if you're able to. And then always ask, when you're interviewing, ask about these opportunities. Ask if there's financial support, if there's time support, if you have some electives for research during residency. And if you're a very academic oriented person, just prioritize those programs that will support those things for you as well.
Perfect.
And in my personal experience, I had the chance to do a research elective also on second year, which was an away elective. So I was able to travel out of the country to get some research done. Again, these are opportunities that I looked for. So you just have to kind of be determined to get those things done and plan ahead of time.
Absolutely. So in case people did not catch what Dr. Guerrero was saying, she sacrificed her vacation time to attend one of the conferences, DDW, if I'm not wrong.
Oh yeah, I sacrificed several vacation times. Not just once. Some of them. But also because it's super fun, right? It's like you will travel and you will enjoy a good time with colleagues and network and have your nights off. And I became very good friends with my mentors in Mayo, Florida. So traveling to those DDWs and being able to share some time with them was actually kind of, a great thing. I didn't feel like missing vacation, really.
Absolutely.
My husband would also come with me sometimes.
All right, perfect. Now, Dr. Guerrero went from University of Connecticut and matched into Mayo Clinic GI. That just goes to show what kind of personality she has and what kind of candidate she is, probably one of the best in the world. So I'm really proud that I could bring her to my video series, and hopefully this will help you. Saying that, I want to kind of ask you, what should a candidate be like, and what should an application look like when they're targeting for one few of the best institutes in the world for fellowship?
So you mean for fellowship?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that between fellowship and residency, it's kind of similar, the way a candidate should be, but several things, several variables in terms of how good a candidate should be. If you are an international medical graduate, you need to be extremely, you have to put a little bit extra effort for sure, if not a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And I am not able to tell you, a specific number of, publications or things like this, because I just don't know the CV from my colleagues. I just don't know how to compare my own, sort of accomplishments to somebody else. But I would say that it's very important to, so three things when you apply, your scores matter a lot, and they will matter forever. So give a lot of importance to trying to get good USMLE scores if you can. or I don't know how the new system is going to be, but try to excel at those, because those are kind of the main filters when they are trying to interview people. Second thing would be, for fellowship, I think the letters of recommendation matter a lot, because those will tell the program director who you are as a person, as a professional, what you have sort of accomplished with other mentors in other places. So I think those are very important. And believe it or not, number three, I would say the personal statement is really valuable. And I say this from personal experience, because I remember that when I interviewed both for residency and for fellowship, my personal statement was brought up multiple times during multiple interviews as something that really was a highlight. So if you are able to bring the best of you in your personal statement, I think that that's super helpful. So don't take the personal statement too lightly, but also do it with a lot of honesty, with a lot of passion. Be honest with yourself. What is it that you like? What drives you? And try to put that not necessarily only medical aspect of yourself in the personal statement, because people want to know you also as a human. So I think that's very important as well.
Absolutely. Like looking back at residency, anything you would have done different?
In residency, oh gosh.
Something you would have changed, or in general in your medical career? Like, we are coming to the end of the show, so I just wanted to know, because you look perfect in picture.
Oh God.
So.
No. No, we are far from perfection. Please. But honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. It's not like life is perfect at all. There are struggles day in and day out, and you will have ups and downs all the time, during fellowship, during residency, in your whole life. It's just a roller coaster. I just think that being resilient is very important. I don't think I would change anything. Try to think that every challenge that comes to your life is to kind of have a growing opportunity as well, and see it just as a growing opportunity. It will pass, it will get better. I remember, and this is one personal experience, when I remember when I submitted one of my very first project to DDW. It was my very first DDW that I was going to. I submitted 3 projects, and the 3 of them got rejected for DDW. And it was heartbreaking for me. I remember at that time feeling so sad, so disappointed. But later on, I resubmitted one of those to another conference, that it's UEGW, that's the GI conference in Europe, and it got accepted. And when I went to Barcelona and presented it, I was able to meet in that conference one of my main Japanese mentors, Professor Kudo. And later on during my career, I was able to go to Japan with him and work with him. So if my project got accepted for DDW to begin with, I would never have gone to Europe. I would never have gone to Japan. So, things happen for a reason, and just always try to look at the positive side of things, and just keep going, be resilient, and that's life.
Yeah, that just goes to show your resilience and diligence. And
Thank
I
you
think those
again.
are like the 2 most important things for the USMLE journey. So this is like 10, sometimes 15 years of work, coming from another country, doing med school. In your case, you studied in a different language, Spanish, learning medicine in a different language, English, then applying for the exams, going through residency, going through fellowship. So yeah, you need to be resilient and diligent, like you said.
Yeah, and I think we all are, all of the international medical graduates trying to get into medicine here in the US. We all need to build that resiliency, and we all are already very determined, just making this big decision to just come here and train in a country that is completely different from our culture, from our home.
Mhm.
It's a big decision. So that takes courage.
Absolutely. Any parting words for our viewers and it probably international medical students and graduates who want to come to the United States and learn medicine, practice medicine?
Be resilient. You can do this. There are always ways to succeed. Don't hesitate to contact me if I can help at all down your pathway. I really like working with residents, medical students, and or contact Arjun, who is doing already a wonderful job guiding everyone. And good luck with everything. Thank you for the opportunity of having me here, Arjun, also.
No, like it's my pleasure. And I truly believe that this video is going to help and inspire a lot of people to start their journey and people who want to give up, couples match, so many unique perspectives, people, medical students from Latin America who might think thrice before coming to the United States because of the language barriers. So yeah, hopefully this video has a positive impact on a lot of people.
I hope the same.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, Daniela, so much for taking out time out of your busy day. I know you have been really busy, but yeah, it was so good to speak to you. And best of luck in rest of your fellowship. Hopefully, we get to meet soon in
Oh yeah.
future GI
Yeah.
conferences. Perfect.
My
Then.
pleasure. My pleasure,
Perfect.
Arjun, and good luck to you in your residency path as well.
Thank
As well.
you, Daniela. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.